Hey guys, Flash Vintage Nate here, and today we're ranking all 9 of the Egyptian glory god stands from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. I want to keep this intro kind of brief. Obviously, this entire list is my opinion, so if you disagree, leave a mean comment down below. I read all of them, and I do like reading all of them. I like reading your different opinions. But Ellis, what are the 9 Egyptian glory gods? So basically, the Horus Crusaders, they land in Egypt, and it's like, yo, there's 9 new stand users for y'all to fight. And what makes these guys so special? Well, we ran out of tarot cards. So, just, I don't know, bro, name them after Egyptian gods. Basically, just all of the last stands in part 3. Let's get into ranking them. Number 9! Obviously, this one is number 9. It's my least favorite in the entire list. We have Khnum. Now, I made an entire video designated the top 10 weakest stands, and I had Khnum pretty high up there. What Khnum's ability is it lets you shapeshift. It's perfect shapeshifting. Like, it's utter perfection. You're down to the way you look, your smell, everything that could possibly be perceived about you, that's what it changes. Except it only affects your face, and that's why it's buns. Yes, was he able to do a lot with this power? Yes, he got very close to killing the Crusaders. But also, there are way stronger shapeshifting stands, not only in part 3, but throughout the entire series. Yellow Temperance is one of the first stands that they fight in the entire series. And it is just better Khnum. And also, that's not like even the only shapeshifting stand. I know it partially comes from its alien biology, but Mikitaka's stand, Earth, Wind, and Fire, is also better shapeshifting, because it lets you try out objects. Part 9 spoilers, I guess, but no one's read Jojo lands. Charming Man's stand, Big Mouth Strikes Again, is also just better shapeshifting because it lets you disintegrate. It's just like, it just sucks. The power sucks. I'm going to be replaying the same clip of this gross, stretchy face for the entire video because it gets no screen time because it's a bad power. This is number 9 of like the weakest out of all the glory gods. Let's move on. I don't like this stand. I don't like this stand. Excuse that outburst. Number 8, we have Osiris. Now, the first Derby fight, very cool fight. I love gambling in my anime. Kakaguri fan for life. But unlike his brother, who we will talk about later on this list, Osiris is just like not a very good stand. The reason I have it so low is because it's in this weird subcategory of stands where you need to agree to some sort of game or condition before the ability can activate. If the person you're trying to mess with doesn't agree to the game or whatever conditions you're setting, your stand just doesn't do anything. Now, I have it above Khnum because once you get past that condition, it's really good. Like, if you win the game, you can steal their soul. It's a very versatile stand once that condition has been met. And if you're playing a game like the Darby brothers do that you're really good at, then obviously it's a good stand for you. I can see why Osiris is Darby's stand. But also, if they don't agree to the game, then you're kind of like not even a stand user for real. So that's why I have Osiris at number 8. And plus it's chopped, so. But number 7, we have Tohth. Now, I have kind of grown in appreciation for Tohth because it appears in the spin-off manga Shining Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak. I kind of like it. What Tohth is it's just a book that literally anyone can use. It's not even really Boingo's stand. It's kind of just like a book he carries around that tells him the future. And that's really strong, but it's not like direct future sight. It is the most accurate future telling you see in the entire series. Like, once Tohth makes a prediction, that thing is going to happen, but it also doesn't provide a way for you to dodge the predictions it makes like other future telling stands we see. So if Tohth foretells something bad happening to you, something bad is going to happen to you. I have it higher than the other two because it provides actually consistent utility and is pretty convenient, but it has no combat power whatsoever. It can be stolen pretty easily. Like, it's just future sight, and you need, like we see, you need to team up with other stand users to get the most value out of it. Solid stand, well-designed stand, I like it. It's just number 7. I do think that the Oingo Boingo Brother art style is very cool. I do like it a lot. It's one of the goofiest things that come out of part 3, but Oingo Boingo Boingo. Okay, I really like that. Okay, the book is goated for that. But yeah, those are the 3 stands I think are inarguably the weakest. Like, if you were to make a list, I think you'd also put those 3 there, but what do I know? But now we're getting into 4, 5, and 6. Number 6, we have the other Darby Brother stand. We have Atum. So what the younger Darby Brother stand does is the same thing as his older brother, but it has a singular extra ability that moves it up these spots. Technically, it has 2 abilities extra, and I'm going to talk about the extra application it uses for its soul power. So, older Darby Brother just sits in his little pub and waits for people to fall into his trap. Younger Darby Brother, the Sigma, the one that mogs, he's actually proactive with his stand. Like, he implants his stand's hand into Jotaro's arm, And like, that's how he holds them hostage to get them to play the game. Because not only does this stand have an incredibly cool physical manifestation, I absolutely love how Atum looks. It's honestly top 5 stand designs period for me. Just throughout the entire series, I love how this stand looks. But yeah, not only does it have a way using its freaky soul powers to kind of force people's hands and get them to play the games that it wants them to play, but it also has, I think it's called like binary reading. So what Atum lets the younger darker brother do is if he asks you a yes or no question, he can read what your answer would be regardless of what you say. Now, if you asked me if I was the best JoJo's YouTuber and you should subscribe to me, it would go, yes, 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 yes. Subtle plug, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. But yeah, I think that extra ability bumps it up a few spots. I think it still has the underlying weakness of not being good in like physical altercations. Like it is way better. Like it has a physical manifestation. So if you need to defend yourself, it can help you. But we don't really see much of his stats physical wise outside of the stand having great dodging. But it's just Osiris with more abilities. That's why I think it's number 6. And we're already halfway through the list. But what I think the number 5 is Bastet. Now, the only girl out of the 9 Egyptian glory gods. What Mariah Stan Bastet lets you do is control magnets. It's just Magneto. But Ellis, that sounds super strong. That's right, because I lied. It's very powerful, but limited magnet control. So what Bastet does is it makes this like electrical outlet just spawn on anything. And if somebody touches that, they become like electrified, magnetized, whatever you want to call it. And they begin to attract magnetic or really just any metallic objects nearby to them. They just become a really big magnet. And that includes other people that are under the effect of Bastet's ability, which is how we get this really fun scene. It's not called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for nothing. Now this sounds really strong because as we see in the Bastet fight, the stand attracts cutlery and attracts everything. It sticks them into dangerous situations. But the main reason I think that Bastet deserves to be at the number 5 is just because Mariah has to be close to the people she's magnetized in order for the effect to still exist. Now, the closer you get to someone, the stronger the magnetism becomes, which could potentially be dangerous to them, but it also places you in the crossfire, which is how Mariah is eventually defeated. That means, like she does in the fight, it's good to stay a certain distance away from your opponents. That also means that if they realize that you have to be within a certain range of them for the ability to work, they can just go the opposite direction. It's a stand that works best at close range, but also doesn't give you a way to directly defend yourself at close range. But that's not to say it doesn't have unique applications for its powers. Like, since you know your opponents are big magnets, you can just carry around metal weapons and use them to just home in. It's basically just free aim assist. Your weapons just home in on your enemy. Now that is incredibly useful, and that's why I think the stand is pretty strong. But the limit of the weird range, I think, hinders it a little bit. Plus the lack of a more humanoid, able to interact with the environment physical manifestation. Still a really strong stand though. Number 4, I gotta go with my GOAT stand, Anubis. Now, I watched Stardust Crusaders back in 2020 over COVID. It's been like 5 years. So for some of these stands, I had to go back and read the manga and like just catch up to make sure I knew basically exactly what their abilities did when I had a few things that I was confused about. And originally, when I first made this list, before I went back and did my little bit of research, I had Anubis way lower. I had it at like number 6. But then I reread this fight and I was like, bro, Anubis was just Maharaga before Maharaga. So what Anubis is as you see, it's a sword. Like it's a physical sword that can pick who draws it, and the stand influences their mind until it fully possesses their body and just makes them its slave. But it has 2 more abilities on top of that that really make it stronger. Number 1, the blade itself has stand phasing, and it can choose what it cuts. When Anubis first attacks Polnareff, it phases through an entire stone pillar just to cut him. So not only does it have selective phasing, but Anubis itself is incredibly smart and adapts to whatever its opponent does. Quote, it says that it will never be hit by the same attack again. So if you fight Anubis for long enough, it will eventually win. That's just broken. I think it kind of upscaled a little bit because it possesses the only Stardust Crusader whose stand is also a swordsman. So I think it being with Silver Chariot kind of gives it like a buff that it wouldn't normally have. But even on its own, I think Anubis is beating a lot of other stands, not just in Stardust Crusaders, but in the series period. But also, it is still a sword, right? Which is really demonstrated as a weakness when Star Platinum just breaks it and punches it into a million pieces and just puts it in the Nile. If not for that, I think I'd have Anubis higher, but just the fact that it is a physical blade that can be destroyed, I gotta put it at the number 4. Those stands, I think you could argue their position like 4, 5, and 6 if you rearrange them. I wouldn't mind, but these 3, ooh, Top 3 are definitely the strongest stands out of the 9 Egyptian glory gods. So for number 3, we have the freaky murder bird itself. I have Horus. Now, Horus is just ice. It's just ice. You can make icicles. You can cover the floor in ice. You can make a lot of ice. That's the entire stand. But it is a lot of ice. Like, Pet Shop kind of goes crazy with it. I don't know where Dio found this insane bird. Like, I really don't know. But, oh my God, he was on demon timing. Now, because he's a bird and he has bird level durability, if you're like Star Platinum fast, you could probably just like punch it, bruh. But with the sheer amount of ice it can make, like, I think Horus is just an incredibly strong stand based on raw power alone. It doesn't even have any freaky stuff that it does where it's like, oh, well, actually, it uses the ice. No. It's just strong because it makes a lot of ice. Now, I will say out of the 2 ice stands in the series, Horus and White Album is definitely stronger. But when it comes to the sheer amount of ice you can make, Horus is undefeated. And oh my God, I reread the Pet Shop versus Iggy fight. I've never seen a psychopath or a farm this much. And it's a freaking bird. Pet Shop is scary. Horus is busted. That's my number 3. For my number 2, we have my 3rd favorite pedophile. Only behind Hisoka and Meliodas, we have Sethan. I hate the user. I hate the user a lot. He's like top 5 most loser people in JoJo's. Okay, he's up there with Steely Dan and Chocolata. Like, we don't like Alessi, bro. He's bad cut, freaky personality, like very predatory stand. But I like Sethan. I like the shadow. The shadow is cool. And just watching it stretch out of his body, super cool already. But why is it the number 2 strongest stand on this list? That's just because if your name isn't Jotaro Kujo, there's no way you're winning that fight. I still think the way he won that fight is insane and stupid. And like, oh my God, Sethan is like one of the most just lost to Jotaro's BS fights or whatever in the entire series. Why do I glaze Sethan so much? Well, because it just makes you powerless. The stand is bound to the user's shadow. And, you know, he can shape it as he wishes and kind of make it like appear in the physical world a little bit with this axe it has. But that's besides the point. If you touch this shadow at all, you age backwards, like you get younger. And the fact that the first time you touch a shadow, even if it's just for a moment, Polnareff touched it like literally just for like a microsecond. And he went from like a 30-year-old man to a 4-year-old. The rate at which it turns you younger is insane for the first time you touch it. But even then, that doesn't sound that strong. Polnareff, even though he's way weaker, still keeps Silver Chariot. But that's only because he had Silver Chariot when he was younger. The real strength in this stand comes from the fact that if you were not a stand user at the age that he reverses you to, you just lose access to your stand. And like Polnareff, even if you were a natural stand user and had your stand when you were like a little kid and way younger, your stand is going to be the strength it was when you were a little kid. So Sethan, against most people in the series, has the potential to just remove stands from their users. What? So not only does it just become a stand user versus a now non-stand user, but it's a stand user, an adult stand user, versus just a little kid. Don't like the user, love the stand. Sethan is too tough. That's my number 2. And you already know what number 1 is. That little freaky water hand, number 1 is Geb. Now, I know I was glazing Atum and Sethan for their designs and how cool their abilities are, but Geb is my favorite out of the Egyptian god stands. Like, it's really no contest. Not only is it the first stand we see, I think it's the strongest. So what does Geb do? Bro, it's literally just water. It's not really clear how much water the stand is, but the stand is bound to physical water, though it has the ability to make more water and kind of like compress itself. So it's just water. And bro, the water hand rising out of the sand, that's tough. And it's like, bro, it's just water. How is it that strong? Aqua Necklace was fodder. This stand was Aqua Necklace before. It was the OG. It did it better. So what makes Geb so strong is number 1, it just has insane destructive power. Like, it's basically a mini Star Platinum hand, but it has an incredibly unpredictable nature. Like, you never know where it's going to go. And because it's water, it's hard to hit. Like, unlike other long range type stands, if you hurt the stand, you still hurt the user. But again, it's hyper mobile water. You're not going to be doing that much. So it has sheer destructive capabilities, but the user is like that trope in anime where you're blind, but you can see better than a normal person. He has crazy good hearing, or like senses, or like he has Daredevil senses. So if you make loud sounds near Geb, it's going to find you, it's going to hunt you down, and it's going to tear you to shreds. It maims Kakyoin, it gets Polnareff, it gets Abdul, and the only reason they won is because Iggy had the ability to fly. If not for that, they're losing. Like, there isn't really much for me to talk about that isn't just straight glazing Geb, because it's just that stand. Like, it's strong, it has like 1 or 2 abilities, and it's just cool. I think its fight is one of the best in part 3s, strictly because of the threat it poses to the Crusaders. Like, there are not that many times in part 3 where all of the Stardust Crusaders are trapped by an enemy stand that aren't environmental. Death 13, Justice, Strength, all have something to do with changing the environment the Stardust Crusaders are in, and that's why the stand is so dangerous. But Geb, number one, it takes advantage of the desert, but it also just like turns everything into a threat. It's a super threatening stand to be around, and I love it so much. That's why I think that Geb is the strongest stand, without that many hacks, out of the 9 Egyptian glory gods. But hey, that's just what I think. Tell me what you think down below about my list and how you would place the 9 Egyptian glory god stands if you were to rank them in strength. Time for the whole YouTuber spiel. I think it's something like 97, 98% of y'all that watch my videos aren't subscribed. It's free. If you don't like it, you can always do it later. Plus, even though school's happening, I'm trying to get out a lot of videos for y'all, so stay tuned. I mainly make JoJo's content, but I will do literally anything anime or manga related, and even things outside of that. Like, I'm working on a few Pokemon videos, like Pokemon ZA, bro. Those megas are looking kind of tough. But yeah, if you love JoJo's anime or anything nerdy like that, like, comment, share, subscribe. And that's Flash 2008 out.